detected.
Watch out! We lost one!
Hey everyone, RogueGold here, welcome back to The Division 2, and today, it's finally here. The Tinkerer exotic that so many of us have been waiting for has finally been released into the wild, and there are quite a number of crazy new builds that are now possible that we need to take a look at. If you're wondering how to unlock this item, it comes exclusively from this season's Climax mission, which just released earlier today. You can do it on any difficulty, but you do get a guaranteed copy if you play it on Master difficulty. But in this first build with the new exotic, I wanted to showcase a combo that, frankly, I knew was going to be cracked the moment we heard that the Tinkerer was coming to the game. I made sure to go in and test it thoroughly, of course, but it was one of those pairings that just clicks. And the results, I think, shine through brightly. So, in this one, we're going to be taking a look at what ongoing Directive looks like at the next level. We'll jump straight in. If you don't want to miss any of my other Tinkerer builds that I'm working on, then be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're not already a part of our community. And as always, major shout out and thank you to our channel members. This month, every new member that we get, I have to make another Tinkerer build here on the channel. I'm kidding. That would be far too many, but thank you for your support. Without further ado, however, let's get to the breakdown. Alright, so here's the build. I'm going to go a little bit out of order and take a look at the mask first, given this is the item that everybody is building these builds around right now, the Tinkerer. The talent, if you don't know, is called Abridged, and it's if your primary and secondary weapons are not exotic or named and of the same type, meaning you have 2 ARs, 2 LMGs, etc., then the secondary weapons talent will also be applied to the primary weapon. So in this case, I have 2 LMGs equipped. On my secondary, I have Pressure Point. On the primary, I've got Sadist. When running the Tinkerer, that means that while I'm using this primary MK46 here, it means I'm getting Sadist and Pressure Point at the same time. And that unlocks a lot of possibilities for a lot of different builds. But in this one, as you can guess from those 2 talents, we are really focusing on bleed damage, or damage to bleeding enemies to be more precise, because we're pairing this with ongoing Directive, which, as I'm sure a lot of you know, is a very great damage set, whether you are in a solo or a team setting, works both ways. But for the 2 and 3 piece, you get status effects and reload speed that helps with the bleed duration, and as well as quickening, the DPS and reload the shooting with your weapon. The 4 piece though, you mark an enemy that has a status effect, and when you kill them, you gain a clip of hollow point ammo. That increases your damage to begin with, but then when you apply the bleed, we're also then activating both Sadist and Pressure Point at the exact same time. That gives us 30% amplified from Sadist and 15 from Pressure Point, so 45% amplified damage in total, and that is how I'm achieving those pretty wild, like 1.1, 1.2 million crits that you saw in the gameplay. Yeah, this build is pretty nuts. Now, before I go through and give you the full rundown of the pieces, which we will do very shortly, I just wanted to shout out that you can use a lot of different weapons with this setup. Initially, I actually wanted to run this with ARs, and it does work. I had the FAMAS there with Sadist, and I had my MK16 with Pressure Point. This works super well too, right? The only thing is that I wanted a little bit more sustained damage in terms of having a larger magazine, being able to really lay down that fire that's dealing so much damage. So I opted to switch this over to LMGs, but if you want to use ARs, if you even want to make like an SMG version of this, you totally could, especially because ongoing Directive works in a group setting as well. Whatever, kind of loadout you want to cater to your specific content preference or your group, do it. But for this demonstration, we're going to use LMGs. Among those, I think the MK46 is a really good option. It's just got a really good blend of mag size, RPM, damage. But if you prefer a different one, do it. You're going to be getting a crap ton of damage either way. It doesn't really matter all that much which LMG or which weapon you choose to use. But on here, we've got the detox and damage to armor attributes rolled. Again, Sadist on here. But the order of the talents doesn't matter. If you want to have pressure point on your primary, Sadist on the secondary, works either way. And then for the mods, we just have the 50 round one from Gunner, and then crit chance, crit damage mods to fill out the rest. As far as your secondary, again, you can't actually use it to activate the Tinkerer talent, so you can kind of just run whatever, right? You aren't actually going to use it in gameplay. I just have an L86 on here. Again, the only important part is the talent, so get whichever other one you need there. For your sidearm, for once it actually kind of matters, or at least I have a very good recommendation, and that is the Busy Little Bee exotic. Because you cannot use an exotic in your primary or secondary slot because of the Tinkerer, that means that your sidearm is a great opportunity to slot one in, and there are few other better options than the Bee. Reason being, its talent is that when you switch to it and shoot different targets, it gives you damage that will then proc when you swap back to your primary. And so, especially because you can store ongoing directives hollow point ammo on the weapon, if you proc that on the MK46 here, you swap to the B, get a few sacks, swap back, you're doing even more damage than you already are, which already is overkill. So damage upon damage upon damage. You get the idea. So let's do a quick breakdown of the pieces. On the Tinkerer, again, we have those fixed rolls with crit damage as the mod. For our chest piece, we have ongoing directive. I highly recommend you run the ongoing chest piece so that you get the Parabellum rounds amplification talent. Increasing that hollow point damage to 50% amp is crazy. Again, alongside Sadist and Pressure Point. So this is really good. On here, we have weapon damage, crit damage mod. For the holster, we've got weapon damage and crit damage on there. Moving up to the backpack, we have one piece of Sascha. This is just going to be really good to make sure that we have those evened out crit stats between chance and damage. And then on here, we've got weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage mod with Unstoppable Force as the talent. Now, you don't have to run this. You could run something like Wicked, which gives you a damage for a period of time when you proc a status effect, which you'll certainly be doing with this. Unstoppable Force just actually gives you a higher ceiling, right? When you get maximum stacks, you'll get more out of it. So if you're going to be getting those consistent kills, then I recommend. But if you want to run something else, you want to try Vigilance. If you're running a decoy, you want to run Wicked, try it out. Totally up to you. For the last two, on the gloves, weapon damage, crit chance on there, and for the knee pads, weapon damage and crit chance once again. To give you an idea of the total stats, on the MK46, I'm hitting 52% crit chance and 136 crit damage. Pretty darn good, and this distribution works well for me. Final bits to point out then, I'm running the Gunner specialization. I think there is no better option than this for this kind of a build. Gunner works fantastically. With LMGs, you get the extra magazine size, you get all the bonuses on kill. It's great. It also unlocks you the Banshee Pulse, which is one of the best options for a weapon-focused version of ongoing directive because it allows you to proc and begin the chain of getting that hollow point ammo. You tag an enemy with Banshee, you kill them with your gun, that status effect then procs the ability for you to get the hollow point, and then it all builds out from there. And then finally, I've got a Revive Hive on, but feel free to run whatever you like. Alright, well there you have it, my friends. That is my first Tinkerer build here on the channel. As I said earlier, I knew that I wanted to do this one a long while ago. Mixing Sadist and Pressure Point for all of that amplified damage, putting it with ongoing directive, which is already a phenomenal set. This was destined for greatness, so I was really happy to see this come alive in the gameplay. That said, at this point, I turn it all over to you guys. I would love to know your thoughts on this build that I've shown in this video. Are there any potential changes that you would make to a similar version of it? And furthermore, if you're still going after the Tinkerer, maybe you've just unlocked it, what are some of the first talent combinations that you plan to be making? Let me know. Love to hear it. As goes without saying, there are more builds on the way, so again, stay tuned. But that's going to do it for me on this one. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you back then. RogueGold. Out.